Afternoon. Today is June 5th, 2025, and I've been wanting to do this video for a while now, and I think now is as good a time as any. I was a member of a very popular final deposition website. I created an account in March of 2008. I closed that account in June of 2023, having digitized 42,600 and some odd people in the Tri-County area that I live in. In one cemetery alone, which is the oldest cemetery in the city, I did 19,000 people. In another cemetery, I did 7,000 people by myself. And over the years, I have received all manner of passive-aggressive nastygrams through the editing feature of this site. I received one such suggested edit in January of 2023 regarding a young man named George Tisdale. Unfortunately, the person who sent me that did not realize that there were two George Tisdales buried in the cemetery, and the edits he was sending me were for the father and not the son, but he kept sending them through the son's entry. George Clopton Tisdale, was 14 years old when he died. He drowned in the Alabama River in 1887. His father, George Dew Tisdale, who I know served in the CSA, died in 1891, and he and his family are buried in Lot 3, Square 2, Survey 1, along with his grandparents. And so I declined to add those, and this upset this gentleman so bad that he told me I was an unpleasant person, that I was inept, and could not possibly put in the time needed to manage the tens of thousands of entries that I had created. Wow. I didn't know that the digital dead needed so much time and attention, and that somebody who had never laid eyes on me knew me well enough to know what I was doing in my free time. So I want to show that gentleman what I was doing in my free time, because every spare moment I had, I was in a cemetery with a camera. I would take as many pictures as I could. I would come home, I would crop and edit those photos, and then I would go online and see if they had a digital entry. If they did not, I would add them and the photo. I would then do research to flesh that out as much as I could. And sometimes there's no information. Sometimes you just have to wait. But apparently this wasn't good enough. Nothing I ever did on that site was good enough for these people. I laid out 15 years of my life trying to record this very large cemetery, which was 120 acres, by myself. In addition to taking care of all my other, life duties. So I have a computer, and it has a external drive attached to it. It's 4 terabytes. I have half a terabyte of tombstone cards, genealogical documents, and burial cards. I said tombstone cards, but I meant tombstone photos. So here is a snippet of what's on my external drive. I have thousands of these burial cards. Thousands. I'm busy adding them to Family Search because I don't need this stuff bloating up my computer. I'm slowing down. I'm not really wanting to give as much of my time to this as I have in the past. So I'm trying to put them someplace I know that they can be used. And when they rolled out the new editing system, I knew that my time on this site was coming to a close. The gender edits and the dog tags were ridiculous. And so I did the math, and they were setting me up to receive somewhere in the neighborhood of 600,000 potential edits. That's too much to ask of a volunteer. That's just too much. And so, since I worked for these photos, not any of you or the company that bought this site, I decided that I was not going to retire. I was going to quit and take my photos with me. Some of my decision, well, a large part of my decision was the totality of the mean-spirited, ugly, vomitous communication I had had with a handful of contributors over the years. I decided when I was going to quit that I would take my work with me, because I wanted to make sure that none of you benefited from the sweat of my volunteer brow. You did nothing but batter me like an ugly housewife over digital memorials to the dead for 15 years. I lived in near constant fear and anxiety because I was threatened over social media for my participation. I guarded my identity ferociously for years because of those threats. And so, I know that some of y'all are upset about that, but you can get your old airman to go out there and take photographs for you. He doesn't mind at all. He's slow as dirt, but he doesn't mind. And y'all are just not going to benefit from my volunteer labor. I'm going through these photos now, and I'm going to donate them, excuse me, to the Archives and History Building. Because A, they have a team of lawyers that are going to make sure that their copyright is not infringed. And these photographs will not be available to anybody until 70 years after my death. That means that all of these handful of people that have caused me so much anxiety, stress, and unwarranted negative feedback will not benefit from what I did. I did this for future generations. I did this to preserve the past for the present. We all want to know where we come from. Somebody's going to come looking for answers. And these tombstones, particularly in Oakwood, are a whole lot less legible than when I first started. Francis Hubbard's marker is gone. The slab is gone. Okay? Can't read it. There are several others I can think of that you cannot read. But you know what? I did my best, and my best was not good enough for y'all. So I just removed myself from the situation. There's other places that I can contribute to, and I have. So in closing, what I would like to say is that I outwalked y'all, I out-researched you, and I out-digitized graves. Y'all can't do what I did for Montgomery County. You can't do what I did for Oakwood. You're going to be looking at my former member number for a long time. Peace out.